Hello everyone, it's Sylvia from Feel Tarot. Welcome to my channel. On today's episode of Tarot on Tour, we're going to have a look at Northern Thailand. We're going to talk about how divination in this really beautiful region of Thailand takes a very specific meaning related to cultural aspects and influences that come from mostly outside of Thailand itself. Let's have a look. So in the tour, we were really lucky to be able to witness several places and had enough time to stop in these places and, just roam about and visit as much as we could. Because I think that, whenever you go visit a country, you really need to take your time to just go anywhere you feel like you're called to go. It's also because sometimes we think that we might be reading a guidebook and we think that everyone wants to see some very special place, and then you get there and it's a bit of a letdown or a false flat for you. I strongly believe that some places on this planet Earth are really calling to us because they have a very strong energy. And I've felt this kind of energy elsewhere. For example, one place that comes to mind is Sedona in Arizona, where they actually say that there's a lot of vortex energy, and in some cases, if you're particularly sensitive to this kind of vibe, to this kind of energies, you will actually feel it when you get there. Now, I have to say, so disclaimer for this video, I do get involved in a lot of local, let's say, practices. I have asked each and every time that you will see me in the video, being involved or doing something, I have always asked for permission. I have always asked the locals if that's okay for a foreigner to be doing what they were doing, or to be observing them, or to be taking videos of them, or to be taking photos of them. And they've always been more than happy. In many cases, I've actually been, for them it was a way to communicate with me, to just explain to me what to do certain things. And I found it really fascinating, and I'm very happy to say that it was an incredibly humbling experience on the one hand and enriching experience on the other, because I always love to do my best to look at other cultures and try and understand them. And it's a wonderful thing for me when I find someone that is kind enough to explain something that is going on. So I've been to a couple of temples, and you can see me here, for example, doing what is a divination practice. So basically, people have this bucket of sticks, and you move it, you shake it, and then one comes out, and then you read, and it's got a number on it, and then you will have to read what the messages refer to that particular number. And it was incredibly interesting because I was talking to a local guide, and she was explaining to me that that's a very so obviously it's done in Thailand, but it's done in several other countries, because I've seen it done in Taiwan as well, for example. And so she was saying that indeed it's that part of Buddhism that is present, for example, in China and Taiwan as well. And there were a lot of Chinese tourists doing the same. And I was kind of shocked by how accurate the my own prediction of the message that I received was about what I am and what I want to do and what I will be doing. And that was a humbling experience on the one hand, because it really taught me that no matter where we come from, no matter who we are, and no matter what our past has been or our future will be, we have something very much in common with everyone else in the world. And it's not just biology related, because we're all humans, but it's also something that recurs in the form of a spirit. So we can call it energy, we can call it soul, we can call it spirit, we can call it vibe, we can call it whatever we want. But there is something in ourselves that is other than biology. And whatever you want to call that, depending on what religion you follow, or what other, you know, discipline or feelings that you have towards it, is something that actually brings people together. So for example, in the northern part of Thailand, you will see that it's actually all about good luck and bad luck. So that's why I wanted to show you a very special deck today. So let me just, it's this one here. So it's called the Auspicious Symbols for Luck and Healing Oracle deck. And this is the deck that I actually dedicate to the northern part of Thailand, because even though, you know, in here you can see the traditional lucky cat that is more like referring to the Japanese tradition, and there's a lot of symbols, for example, here on the cover of the box, that relate back to different cultures, like the coins for the I Ching, for example, or the wishbone, or the ladybug, or the clover. I'm not familiar, this is probably a swallow, but I'm not familiar to what kind of tradition that will actually be a symbol of good luck, or, you know, as you can see, the Egyptian symbol as well. Now this is, as I said, it refers back to many cultures around the world, but what I love about this deck, and I really think that I want to dedicate this deck to Northern Thailand, is the reason that lays behind this. So there's a mix of cultures here, and there's a mix of cultures indeed in the northern part of Thailand as well. So you will see, for example, I will show you, we went to visit a local village populated by Hmong. So the Hmong population in northern Thailand is part of a refugee program that is has been initiated by the King of Thailand. That has allowed them to come and stay in the Thai territory, in the northern part of Thailand, and they can stay there where they're safe. You know, they are safe, and it's incredible because I actually know a thing or two about the Hmong, because I've actually been looking into that. But let me show you this deck first. The reason why I brought up the Hmong is that there's so many influences from other cultures that get together in the northern part of Thailand, particularly when you get to Sukhothai and the northern part after that. So when you go to the Chiang Mai area or Chiang Rai area, or all the area that is called the Golden Triangle, because it lies on the border between Thailand, Myanmar and Laos. And you can definitely feel this really strong energy that is all related to different cultures, and all of these cultures have one thing in common, and that one thing is about good luck or bad luck. You know, many different things, many different traditions, and stuff you have to do that will bring you good luck, or stuff you have to avoid, you know, to avoid bad luck. And so this deck is all about that, and I really do believe that it reflects really well this culture about you know, trying to get on with your life, because at the end of the day, recognizing that there is good luck and bad luck, it's all about realizing that we don't have control over something that happens, or we do perhaps in our own way when we master the way in which we react to it. But at the end of the day, it's all about what happens to you and how you process it. And so, for example, there were a lot of you know, tourists that were scolded because, for example, they crossed a certain square in front of a statue of a Buddha in a certain way that was actually bad luck, or things that we could not possibly know because they're not part of our culture. But we need to be open to understand what they mean in different cultures, and we need to be open to understand that if, for us, for example, we use runes to do readings, then of course other traditions will use sticks to do a reading, or in a very specific case, there will be, you know, the reading of the bones, for example, reading the palm reading, and all these sorts of methods of divination that are incredibly important. Whenever you find yourself going through a bit of a rough patch, and you know, and you don't really know what to do, And perhaps you do. That is a swallow, by the way. Fly high with grace. You are embodying greater love, light, and peace. Okay, I did not know that, but it was a swallow. So one important thing that is common, as I was saying, whether you're of Thai origin, of Hmong origin, of Aka origin, of all of Yao origin, which are all of these tribes that reside in the northern part of Thailand that have been gracefully accepted by the Thai government and provided with an area where to live. They've also been given, for example, the possibility to cultivate the land, and so they can become self-sustainable, and their children can go to Thai school. They can learn the Thai language. They can preserve their own religion, so their cultural habits and traditions. If they want, they can also convert into Buddhism. I would have to say, though, that I had the feeling that was actually kind of preferred for the integration of these populations, of these tribes, into the Thai everyday life, for them to convert into Buddhism. I had this impression because there is one thing that they made very specific, is that they cannot actually live in a city. So these tribes are allowed to stay in Thai territory where they are absolutely safe from whatever it is they're escaping from, but they're not allowed to go into a city. They cannot live in Chiang Mai, for example. They cannot live in Sukhothai. They need to integrate into the Thai culture before they can do that. So their children actually are allowed to do that. Once they go to Thai school, they learn Thai language and they convert to Buddhism. And whether that we can stay here hours, I feel like, debating whether that's correct or not, and that's the best way to do it or not. What I can see is that, for what I've seen, these populations are actually thriving. They can keep their own culture. They are, let's say, first of all, the climate is very similar. The surroundings are very similar to their point of origin. They can stay in the village with, their relatives and friends, and so they live a relatively happy life. Their children have a really good prospects when they go to Thai school, because they can, they can study pretty much anything they want. They can become doctors, lawyers, whatever they want. So this is the really good part. And what I can say about the Hmong in specific, because that's the tribe that I was allowed to visit and interact with. There is this story that is true and that has actually been documented. So there is this Hmong have been recognized as refugees worldwide, and of course some of them have also been sent to the United States of America. There is a population of Hmong that lives in Minnesota, and I was watching Stephen Fry in America a few years ago, and he was presenting in this episode. It was it was showing the way in which the Hmong people live in Minnesota, and as you can imagine, the climate is completely different. And so he was interviewing some of them, and some of them that were saying that they were basically really unhappy. So obviously they were very grateful to the fact that they had been accepted as refugees and they knew that they were safe, but they were so sad that many of them just let themselves gradually lose the will to live, and they eventually died. So that I did not experience in Northern Thailand. I did not see that. I saw happiness. I saw tranquil, serene, happy lives. People going on about their business, chatting together in the middle of the day, because it was really hot and humid, and so they was just sitting on a shade of their patio, and they were just chatting with their neighbors, or doing some activities, or embroidering their traditional costumes and things. And this is, for example, a couple of ceremonies that I had the pleasure to assist to. I was very lucky to see. In particular, I wanted to show you the ceremony in which the shaman of the Hmong village is a very important person because he's the healer. And obviously, you're basically what you're seeing here is the moment in which he is presented with the patient, and he uses divination, and that's incredibly interesting to me. He uses a method of divination to see whether he will be able to heal this patient or not. And so he's basically taking up a part of 2 horns of a water buffalo, and they have been obviously filed and they have been cut to measure, and he's just throwing them in the air, and then he observes the way in which they land, and whether they land face up or face down, or one face up or one face down, and that tells the shaman whether he will be able to heal this person or not. And if he decides that he won't be able to heal this person because the sickness is too difficult to heal, or I don't know, then this person cannot proceed with the ceremony. So they will have to go to a different shaman and ask again, and there will be again this performance, the performance of this ceremony and this divination in order to see whether they will be able to heal them or not. And I think that I was super happy to be able to witness that, because that really tells me a lot about what we have in common with a lot of cultures, because of course in Western medicine doctors do tests to assess whether they can heal a person or not, but especially with what's been going on lately, I have the feeling that sometimes tests can tell you just as little or as much as some kind of divination. And I also remember watching a documentary about, I think it was in the Monument Valley in the United States, the Native American tribes. I'm sorry, I do not remember which one in specific, but the shaman from this region was performing a very similar ceremony for the healing of a person. So, the fact of spraying them with the water that had been blessed, or water mixed with alcohol that had been blessed, and that signified the purification of the body, or the getting rid of the bad spirit that was inhabiting this patient and was making them sick. And so it's really incredible for me to be able to do this comparison and see the similarities there are between 2 different parts of the world that have absolutely no common origins at all, unless we go really way back. It's always so very interesting. It's something that I find fascinating. It's one of the reasons why I'm always very happy when I travel to really get in touch with the locals, talk to them as much as I can, ask as many questions as I can, and sometimes just listen and watch, because that's important as well. But that's something that really, really struck me, that there's always ways in which to refer back to your original traditions that come from your ancestors, and it's all about good luck and bad luck. And that's very important to me as well as an Italian, because in Italy we call it superstition, but at the end of the day it is tradition, because you don't, for example, if you don't walk under a step ladder because that's bad luck and other stuff like that, or if you find a clover with 4 leaves is obviously good luck, which is common to other cultures as well. So we have all sorts of things, and there's so many that I believe you could probably recognize some of them in your own culture as well, or there's so many that many of them get lost with time because they might be the less known ones that do not get told down generation from to the next generation. So that's really, really interesting. So another thing that I really love about the northern part of Thailand, but Thailand in general, is the night markets. I just absolutely love the way in which you can find pretty much anything. And I actually bought a few of these bags, which are perfect for, my tarot decks, because as you can imagine, I bought a few during this trip, and I cannot take them all with me with the box, because they become quite heavy. So in many cases I would just put the tarot deck or the Oracle deck inside of this really cute bag, which is perfect size, as you can see. And then something else that I noticed is that they really love the let me just zoom in. They really love the cuteness of the animals. In this case, I bought two, these are fridge magnets, and I bought two cats because they remind me of my cats back at home. I think I've said this a number of times. You guys might be tired of hearing me talking about my cats. But these are just one of the example of the infinite cute stuff that you can buy in markets everywhere. There's you know, there's bags, there's notebooks, there's pretty much anything you can think of, they make it. So I was in Chiang Mai, and I was lucky enough to find another bookstore which used to be part of the chain Asia Books. It's now called Suriwong Book Learning Center, and it's fantastic because there is this bookstore and they have an incredible collection of you know, tarot and oracle cards, but also they have a learning center. So there's different rooms where they teach English to students, for example, or you know, there's interactions between foreigners that live in Chiang Mai, and they volunteer to teach English, for example, which is always very helpful for them because many of them will eventually end up working in tourism. So not only English, but for example, Spanish is one language that is requested, you know, by the locals, because there's a lot of Spanish tourists or Spanish speaking tourists. So I was able to finally buy this deck. I don't know if you remember, but I was talking about these decks that have been published in Thailand, and originally in Bangkok I had found and bought the Yin Oracle cards. So it's been published in Thailand, and but when I bought this one, I also saw the tarot, and I thought to myself, that's okay, I've got enough tarot decks. And I don't know why I did that. So I kicked myself, because then, you know, moving away from Bangkok, and I'm not planning to go back for, let's say, long enough to go out of the airport and go to the bookstore and buy another deck. And so I kicked myself because I thought it would have been fantastic to pair them up together, but I did find it in Chiang Mai. So this is the God Tarot. As you can see, this one is also being published in Thailand. It's majors only, but it does have the first part of the guidebook in English, and it's very interesting. I actually love the association of some of the keywords with the you know, replacing the traditional title of the majors. So for example, we've got, well, transformation is, you know, it's quite obvious when it comes to death card, with the death card. But for the hanged one, the word yield, which is incredibly interesting. And then you will also see that there is a god, so it's the God Tarot, so there is a god associated to that particular card, and in this case it's Kali. And then of course you will see the keywords that we usually refer back to the hanged one, so sacrifice, think of others before oneself, or you know, a different kind of perspective, etc. And also because it used to be on the Yin Oracle card that you have, let's see if I can compare these two. Hopefully let me find a way. I'll find a way. So as you can see, I hope it's clear, there's different areas in which you can interpret depending on what you asked. There's different area in different ways in which you can interpret a card. So we had that with the Oracle. So we had divination, blessing, decision, work, finance, incomes, and love. And we have it with the tarot. So we've got education, occupation, finance, love, health, and travel. And I really thought to myself, I was so happy that I actually found this deck, because I thought, you know, it's going to pair up really well with the Oracle that I already have. And just, this is the so you've got the keywords with the association with the traditional meanings of, or titles of the majors in here, and then you've got the cards. Again, some of these stick because the material is really glossy. It's a very glossy finish, although I can't really show you. I absolutely love the colors they are so saturated, they are so brilliant because of the glossy finish, and they really remind you of the vibrancy of the colors that you see in Northern Thailand, from the electric orange of the robes of the younger monks, you know, to the chalk white of the walls of the temples, you know, to the another orange of the flowers on the offerings, or the red of the flowers, you know, to the blues. And there's actually a few traditional colors associated with Buddhism. I think it's blue, orange, red, and white. And this is a mix as well. So I love the fact that there's, you know, the Hinduism and the Buddhism religion have been integrated, as you actually often see in the temples in Northern Thailand as well. So for example, we've been in Sukhothai, which was the imperial capital, and we've seen Sukhothai is traditionally dedicated to Lord Buddha, but you will see Garuda as well, which is a Hindu demigod. So there's a lot of integration between the tradition of the Hinduism and the traditions of the Buddhism, and that comes from the fact, the origin of Buddhism itself, that, you know, traditionally we say that Buddha was Prince Siddhartha. That was traditionally Hindu. So obviously we'll have this kind of let's say common themes, recurring themes between these two cultures. And that's why, you know, because I thought to myself, okay, but is it okay to mix up, you know, a deck that is clearly based on Hindu gods with the Yin Oracle, which is basically you know, based on Buddhism? And I thought, well, yes, because they already do that. It's something that it's actually done in many temples. It will be very interesting, because we're ready to go to Sri Lanka, which is another country that has the prevalence, I think, is about 70% of the population is Buddhist, but you also have a very strong influence from India. And so there will be Hinduism, a very strong influence from Hinduism as well. So that will be quite interesting to see. Now, let's see, because obviously it's majors only, so there's not that many cards on the tarot. But if we pair them up together like this, and zoom out just a little bit. So these two have been created by the same author. So I'm just gonna show you because I can't pronounce it, and there's also just the initial. So the art style will be very similar. But I really like the fact that you can actually play around with the new keywords, you know, expressed by the major arcanas on the God Tarot, the reinterpretation, and then you can, you know, play with the central focus messages of the messages that come from the Oracle deck. So we got pleasure between justice and the beginning. And the beginning is the Fool. So it's very interesting. It could be, you know, after a moment in which you went back to the consequences of your life, the good and the bad, there's always this sense of recycle, of rebirth, of coming back to the beginning to just seek a new path. And the new path could be dedicated to pleasure, for example, which, by the way, I have to say, pleasure is not a bad word. You know that sometimes Western culture tends to assign bad connotation, bad values, bad energy to some words that, you know, shouldn't be. Pleasure is actually a good word. It's a positive thing in this culture. New and right beginning between solitude and love. Oh. So coming from a situation in which obviously you feel this aloneness of the hermit, but you conquered your own self and you are ready to start again on the right path this time. And love to me is a card of decision, obviously, not just this is the Lover's card, but it can be seen as the card of love as well, of course. And we got the illusion between illusion and art. I think these two really have a good conversation. I really, really like the way they interact with each other, and I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to buy the God Tarot, because as I said before, I've only seen it on Kinokuniya in Bangkok, and then I hadn't seen it anywhere else. And then finally, when I saw it on the Suriwang book learning center, I had to grab it, and it was very cheap. It was just about, I don't know, $20 Australian, which is always very good. So this is these two combined have a very specific, very unique kind of an energy, as you could see, because of this integration between these two cultures. And I really love the fact that the author is the same, the creator is the same. And I love the fact that, as I showed you before, you can actually assign, depending on what kind of question the reading was focusing on, you can actually decide what kind of meaning you can take out of the messages of the cards. So this was the God Tarot, and we've got the Yin Oracle cards. And one funny thing that I thought about doing in this episode, since we've seen that Northern Thailand is all about the combination and the integration between divination and also, traditions related to how to avoid bad luck and how to bring upon your life good luck, I thought about using the auspicious symbols deck in a way in which you guys can actually interact and pick a card. So I'm going to, because it's something that, was actually very popular here. Everyone was engaging into these activities about finding out their own luck and using auspicious symbols. So what I'll do, I'm just gonna, let's see if I can fit 3 piles. I don't think I might be able to, because I don't have all of my gears. Apologies if the light is not the best, but when you travel light. There you go. So you can pick a pile, and then I will read the meaning of the 3 cards. So let's start with this one. This will be pile number A. And we got Heka. Then we've got the middle one, Lucky Penny. And then we've got the Wishbone. So Heka is all about connect to the magic of Heka to find inspired thoughts and perfect action. So basically this card is all about, it's an encouragement to rediscover your path to magical thinking, to the power of magical thinking, because when we look at things through our own eyes and we do not accept anything else other than what we see in our lives, it's a very limited kind of point of view. So we need to actually broaden our views and accept that there are things that we cannot possibly understand, or that are not actually explained by science, and these things have a space in our lives, have some room in our lives. They have their specific role when we accept them as magical things. So basically it's an invitation to connect with your own spiritual and magical being. If you picked the Lucky Penny instead, let me have a look at what the book says, because I do have my own interpretation, but I always like to see what the book is telling you about that. So heads up, all day long you will have good luck. That's obviously that's the key message at the bottom of the card, and it's definitely luck in the present moment. It's luck from right now. So it's an encouragement for you to make the most out of this day, because everything you will embark upon, whatever you decide to do, any choice you will make today will be the right one, will be the correct one. And it's, everything is positive, and it's also an encouragement to actually take advantage of that, not just rest the whole day and do nothing. Make it a day in which you will take big decisions, because you will have luck on your side. And obviously the Wishbone, which is probably very similar meaning, but let's just have a look. It says, make a wish, you now have a hand in the outcome. So it feels mostly like you know, you also need to participate in making your own luck. It says that luck is now on your side. You have to take some time to formulate your wish and create your own magic. So it's amazing because all three of them seems to refer back to the fact that we need to accept and invite magic into our own lives and believe in it and actually use it, you know, in such a way that we take that decision that we've been postponing for some times, or we actually dare to make that wish that we've always thought that it was too much or too big for us to accomplish. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this. It's it's all for fun, and it's all been, as I said at the beginning of this video, I mean everything to be extremely respectful of the local cultures, because I am only one person and I only have one brain, and so there's only so much that I can know. But I'm always asking first, and I'm always trying to be respectful of everything that I do, or even the way in which I'm asking things, you know, asking questions to see what the answer is. I am a curious person, but I always try to be respectful of others. And so this was, you know, all in good fun for you to just have a look at many different ways to approach bad and good luck, and how to avoid bad one and how to invite good one into your life. Now, thank you so much for staying with me till the end of this video. This is Tarot on Tour from Northern Thailand, and stay tuned because there will be new episodes coming soon. I'm still traveling, battling with the cold at the moment, so apologies for my voice, but it's something that, you know, it happens when you travel. So more to come. Have a great day.